Prose and Comms.
Welcome to Prose and Comms, Engagement Unplugged. I'm Laura Smith.
And I'm Brian Rowley.
Okay, so today we're going to have a fun conversation, Brian and I. We know that as marketers, we have our own language. Some of it's useful, but some of it's completely overused. And every industry has shorthand, but marketing seems especially good at taking an idea and wrapping it in 5 layers of buzzwords. The problem is that everyone starts with using certain words for everything, and then they stop meaning anything. And so we've all used these words. We've written them in a deck. We sat in a meeting where we say them. But today we're going to talk about having some fun with these words and how we think about keeping using some of them and then retiring others. So we'll explore whether the ideas underneath them are still worth talking about.
There's a lot of them, that's for sure.
We can't get to all of them. We'll prioritize them for this one. Before we start judging the industry, though, we should probably judge ourselves. Brian, we love this part. We love to judge each other.
Well, I'm less judgy than you are, let's be honest.
I mean, that's very true. That's very true.
But in the sake of judgment, go ahead.
Okay, so we all have a favorite phrase. So let's have some jargon confessional time. Okay, so we're going to go through some names that Brian and I despise. Some of them we're like, maybe we'll keep them. But I do think it's important to start off with just talking a little bit about like, why do we feel like marketers need to use so much jargon? And is it a safety blanket that's being used for people that just maybe try to explain something they don't fully understand? Or do we think it's like because they really think these words are effective? What do you think, Brian?
I think a lot of times what we see is just, it's just a buzzword. People hear it and they think in order to be relevant in the space, they need to use the word. And as a result of that, it's used over and over and over again to the point where it just, to your point, doesn't mean anything any longer, right? It's just words that are out there. And I don't know that it's unique to marketing. We've got a lot of examples specific to marketing of things that we hear. But I mean, we could go through any of, the list of terms that we sort of came up with in prep for this, and you open up any marketing, anything that's informative about marketing, and you're going to find all of them. They're there. I mean, the reality of it is whether or not they should be.
Yeah, and there are memes about this, right? I mean, it's all these things where someone says, just business terminology even, like I'll circle back. There's all kinds of like circle back memes, what that even means and why people need to say that. But yes, I think
it's kind of low hanging fruit though, don't you think?
Oh, Joey, you just jumped to
there.
my word that I hate the most, that I use all the
Sorry,
time.
boss.
It's a lot of disruption you're creating, Joey.
It's really not authentic at all, Joey, when you just do that.
Wow. There go half of our listeners.
I know. Improving now.
Yeah.
Brian, but the funny thing is like we as marketers, like the language is so important. Like how do we, craft messaging that resonates with audiences? Like we're supposed to make that decision-making easier for people, but with all the buzzwords, we make it harder. So we're like, actually like as marketers, we're the people that maybe we just use them in like the business setting, but ideally, but I know this isn't true, we don't use it externally facing because we're like, oh, that's too marketing jargony. But I still think it does translate into customer facing, prospect facing materials, which is to be horrible.
I agree. I agree. But I mean, I think we have actually have spent a lot of time focusing on, less about jargon and more around like that pain point, right? Like it kind of goes back to that marketing approach, right? Like, is it like when we say things like full funnel, what do we really mean by that, right? When someone says, that something is going to elevate or leverage, like if you just said what you mean from that versus trying to use the buzzwords that are there, I think we would be a lot better off. But I mean, I guess one of the questions I would have for you is like, so when it comes to these overused phrases, like what are, ones that you think are overused that you use, and are probably not going to change?
Yeah, I think that's, let's kind of go through some of these because, and then in the end, I think we should talk about like, will we stop using them? But yes, to answer your question, well, it's funny because and doing some research for this, which you don't need much because we live in this world, but you do, because it's interesting that like now people are talking about 2026 has new buzzwords, right? With AI coming into the mix. So something like hyper personalization or authentic. I mean, I thought authentic's been around for a while, but hence why I just use that, Joey, because it's
but Laura, let's think about how many times you and I in general have used the word authentic.
I know. But again, to your point though, like if you're using it in some kind of messaging or description, shouldn't you just say what that means?
Right.
You know, like we could just say what it means. So it's in, and I feel like it's and when I saw hyper personalization on the list, I'm like, I guess we probably do use that, but like, right. If you're a consumer, like what does that mean to me? You know, and you're the person receiving that kind of message. I think some of the ones that I really like leverage, whoever just said that, and an old boss of mine, I will not drop names, used to say, like, that's just a useless word, right? Like, just use. If you're going to use something, that's usually what the term is. I just said use 15 times in a row. But that's one that it's so easy to put in a deck and it's so easy to put in communication, but it doesn't need to be the word. It just feels so buzzy, right?
Yeah. I think especially like in the tech space, right? Like, so for me, innovation is one of the ones that I'm like, if you have to actually state on a website in a piece that you're innovative, I promise you're not. Because people should know that based on the output of what you're doing or the product that you've got in the market. Like, you shouldn't have to say we're an innovative company. People should know that, and they should be the ones who are telling you, wow, the innovation that comes from your company is, so that's one for me that is just,
that's been
I
for a
cringe
while. We
when I hear
avoid that word.
Yeah. At all costs.
But another one is game changing. Because you know what? In the end, the game has never actually changed.
Right.
So like, what does that mean? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, the, one of the other ones that always gets me is the whole move the needle. Like, what does that mean? What are you trying to do?
Where's the needle?
Where is the needle to begin with?
What needle are we talking about?
Yeah, like you mean increase revenue or increase productivity? Like, move the needle? Like, it just seems to me like, what are you talking about?
Right. Well, I think the other thing is, that's actually not even on our list, but just came to mind, is viral.
Oh yeah.
Like when people like want to go viral, it's like viral is just inherently, that just happens.
It happens.
You don't. So, but that I feel like was probably a little bit like circa a few years ago, more so when things really, but people like still say it. When being on the agency side, I used to have clients say like, how can you make us go viral? Oh, it was so annoying. It's not Joey's eyes are rolling.
But because I think too, and I don't want to speak for our producer here, but at the same time, when someone says, I want something to go viral, that would mean that you're trying to create a moment that your expectation is like, doesn't matter what you're saying, you just want whatever that is to be like something that's broadcasted to 1 million people, as an audience, right? Why wouldn't you focus the thing that really works is when there's significance in what you're trying to say and it resonates. That's what creates viral moments. So like the focus should be on what you're creating, not on what you want the outcome to be. Because if you're only focused on the outcome, you're never going to get there. Like, that's just not going to work.
Give me another one, Brian.
You had mentioned like low hanging fruit. We use it all the time. And to be honest with you, I think that's actually one that it's real. Like that I get, when
we could say something else. That's like something I like want to stop. When I say it, I put air quotes around it because clearly I know it's a horrible thing to say because it's so cliche. I just rhymed. If I had to put air quotes around it as I'm saying it, then I need to stop saying it. I
think everybody knows what it means.
No. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Well, it's like, does anyone ever pick the high fruit? Like, is a high fruit? Like, where does the high fruit live versus the low fruit? Like, what does that even mean?
As a kid, when I used to go apple picking, I used to climb to the top of the tree to get my fruit.
That was the better.
I never started at the bottom.
You never wanted the ones hanging at the bottom.
Never. The low hanging fruit.
Just the bad.
Never good. What do you think? Content is king.
Oh God. I feel like this literally.
I just hate the word content.
Yeah.
Joey.
It sends me because it's like the commoditization of like creativity. It just irks me so bad. And it's just, everyone's like content. And I understand why we speak this way from a marketing perspective. But as someone who, before I'm a marketer, I'm a creative, it kind of like irks me. You know what I mean?
Well, I think AI is only making this worse, right? I mean, everyone used to just say, content is king, and mostly because in the worlds that I've been in, it's because you never have enough of it, right? And so it's always like, oh, this is where, you get your points across. This is where you explain yourself. It's all the messaging and the content that drives that. AI has just flooded the market now with content. I mean, you could get a piece of content. I mean, whether it's good or bad, we've talked about this a million times, is really somewhat irrelevant to some people, right? It isn't, to us, it's very important, but to many people, it becomes irrelevant. And therefore, you've just got tons of content that doesn't do anything. So you've lost the whole, like, is it relevant, right? Is it authentic, right? How much is there in terms of truth behind it, which are all the things that are really important in your message. So, I mean, it's one that I think is out there, but.
But I also think it gets a lot of controversy because obviously, why can't content be queen? Like, why is it king? It's like a little bit like we're going old school. So it's very rarely used, I think, now because of this concept of male versus female situation. So, but I also, we were using it. I mean, Joey, I feel like we worked together, I don't know, 2015-ish, maybe we were using this like all the time, like presentations, and you're telling the story about why content is so valuable, but like no need to, content is king. So hopefully people aren't using that anymore, but it is a disgusting one.
Yeah, disgusting. Wow, that's actually, we're going really far on that one.
Pretty emotional about this.
Yeah, I was going to say that one really, that one struck a nerve. Let's stay there for a second.
Content is genderless royalty.
There you go, Joey. Okay.
The other one that really sometimes gets me is disruption. Like, what are you doing? Like, when you say disruptive, are you actually changing markets? Are you like, what are you actually doing? Because people say, oh, we have disruptive technology. Like, how are you measuring? Like, what does that mean? Like, how do you actually put something behind it to show what disruption you're actually creating? Now, there are things that have done that. I'm not going to discount that, but I think especially in the startup world, like if you look at a lot of and most startup companies, you're going to see that term, like we're disrupting this market, like across every single one of them. Well, not everyone's changing a market.
Right. And I think that's kind of a little bit of the game changing, very similar in the sense that like at this point, like yogurt is disruptive. Like if anyone creates something like that, that's what they're literally talking about. So I 100% agree with you. Those two feel so similar and so unnecessary. And whenever, if all these people are saying they're disruptive, then go back to what we said at the beginning. Then it means nothing because I don't believe any of you are disruptive. If you're all, you really have to prove that. So I would agree that that's another one that's used all the time, but not helpful.
I would say, we use ecosystem a lot, right? Like that's a definitely a big one. And I know it's also very much overused, but it's also very applicable to our business. So like as much as sometimes I twitch when I hear it, it is very relevant. So it is the right term to use when you look at like, for us in our business, we're a very small piece of digital signage, an important piece, but a small piece. There's, the people that actually do the installation. There's people who manage the networks. There's people who create the content for the signs. There's, all of those types of things. We're the hardware element to it. But all of that is part of our ecosystem and how we go to market, how we sell it, how we support, all of those things. So it is relevant, but it is one that's actually overused and unfortunately one that I think will continue in our jargon because it is very applicable to our space.
Yeah, but I think it's also like ecosystem could be described, like we describe it usually, or we should be, what that means to us in our business and our business model. So I think it can just be used in so many different ways. It can be vague. And that's where I think it's like, right, if we're going to use it, just say what you mean with it. What does that mean? And we do know what it means because we have a clear depiction of that, but not everybody People use ecosystem differently than we do. It's just another word, it's another one of those words that people are just taking and running with.
Yeah.
I think the one that I feel like we also, that is very, it's been around for a while, but customer centric, right? Or customer centricity. That's so, but I feel like that's so important to everything we do as marketers, is putting in the customer at the center. And again, we can say it differently. You don't have to say it as customer centric, but it's one that the essence of that term is definitely still so critical to everyone's business from a marketer standpoint, that it's hard to go away, right? Like I feel like it's just more about, some of these things don't have to go away. They just need to be better defined, as we talked about, and just explain what you mean. Like, I think that's where, like driving synergy, like what does that mean? That just means getting everyone working towards the same goal. Like, why not just say that? So I think it is about forcing ourselves to not use them when we don't have to, or just always question ourselves when we're writing something or preparing talking notes or whatever, that those, if we're going to say that, could we say it more easily understood?
Well, and if you're going to say it, make sure that you really live by it. Like, customer centric is one for me that is, I don't necessarily hate the term. I hate the people that use it when that's actually not truthful. And what I mean by that is, in a previous role that I had, I worked for an organization that used to say customer centric. And we would do sort of all these NPS surveys, and we'd get the feedback from it. And then if it was feedback that we didn't want to hear, we just ignored it. Well, you're not customer centric, right? Like, you're not customer centric when you're only reacting to the things that you like, but the feedback that you're getting is something that you're not prepared to or don't want to act upon. Then you're not customer centric. And we would go and say it over and over and over again. And it was just like, no, that's not true. We're not actually. We're customer centric when we want to be.
Right.
But that, if you ask a customer, that's not being customer centric.
Right. A lot of feedback.
So those types of things are the things that kind of drive me crazy with some of this.
Yeah, I think if we had to each pick, let's challenge ourselves to retire one word out of our own day-to-day vocabulary, what would yours be?
Well, mine already has been actioned on. So innovation for sure. Like,
cheating. Pick another one.
We don't ever use that.
And I bet you do. I bet I'll go looking for it now.
You will never catch me say that we're innovative.
It might
you will
be
never.
in something that you don't, something that you've approved, and you're like, oh, I didn't even catch that.
No, I promise you that I scrub for innovation because I absolutely despise. It was the same thing when all the SaaS models came out, and people would say, "Oh, we're a solutions provider." Everyone was a solutions provider. What does that mean? Like, what did you do that you became a? I never used to let solutions be used. I hated it because it was so overused that it meant nothing. And I thought it always devalued what we were actually doing, because I thought there was real value in the products or services that we were bringing to market by using a term that's so overused that devalues it. Like, find something else. We're better than that.
Right.
Even though the whole industry is saying it, just didn't work. But to answer your question.
5 minutes later.
I think game changer is probably one of the worst that's out there. I really do have a problem with that. What is the change? Like, I
told you the game has never actually changed. It's like
never changed.
Never changed.
We play the game the same way every time. It's when, and it goes back to the same thing, right? Like, insanity is, the definition of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's kind of what I feel like the word game changer. Like, you're doing the same thing. You're not changing the game.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to vow, and I'll even tell the team this, but low-hanging fruit, I got to retire it. I told you, I'm using air quotes. I'm doing it. And I feel like I stopped for a long time, but lately I'm catching myself, which is embarrassing. So that's mine.
Oh my God, I want a quarter for every time.
Challenge me.
I want a quarter for every time. It's going to be like the naughty jar that we had.
I just need to find
right?
my perfect replacement. So I'm still using it in essence, but I'm not using those exact words, but I'll say something similar. So I've got to figure out what my replacement words are.
I have one question for you, but one thing, because there was one other one that's on the list that I just am curious to your reaction to. And that is break through the noise. When someone says that to me, how many times have you experienced the fact that the person who's saying it is actually the noise?
Well, I think you're taking it from like the
signal noise thing. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm talking
maybe.
about more like for marketing, you want to break through the noise with this campaign, like all the stuff that's going on, break through the social media feed, stop the scroll, whatever they say.
Yeah, I always look at breaking through the noise as just like you are probably the noise. If you have to break, and it goes back to the same thing. We're very conscious and aware of what we're saying at what point to what audience. If I think you're relevant like that, I don't think you have to worry about breaking through the noise because people are already paying attention to you, in my opinion. But that's just how I look at it. Sorry.
Okay, well, great discussion. I mean, we can't really talk forever about this, but I do think it's an important topic, one that we live and breathe every day in business worlds, obviously as marketers, et cetera. So that's fun. So now we have to hold ourselves accountable. No more game changing or game changer and no more low hanging fruit. And we'll maybe pick this back up at some point. And
Definitely not content is king.
no, definitely not. Take that out of vocabulary.
It's out.
All right,
That's
everybody.
table stakes.
Oh, another one. We didn't even go there, Joey, but that's
I
another
like that one though.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. And most importantly, if you liked what you heard today, be sure to follow us.